Now we will be discussing how to perform a valve calibration. Valve calibration should be performed anytime any major hydraulic work has been done to the machine, or if you're just not happy with the performance of the hydraulics after tuning it through valve speed. To start this, you will need an AS400 sensor and a 6 to 10 coil cable, which I will show you in a moment. To get started, we will need to power the display up in manager mode. This is performed by holding down the OK button while powering the display. Continue to hold down the OK button until you see the cat or Trimble logo. Once the logo is displayed, you can release the OK button. This should allow you to be powered in manager mode. This is how the slope sensor should be configured for a lift calibration, with the connector facing to the left side of the machine. The coil cable will plug into the center connector on the bullnose. With the blade a couple of tenths off the ground, take a measurement from the ground up to the cutting edge itself. I measure this one to be 0.32 feet. Keep that number in mind. At this point I have everything set up ready to perform the valve calibration. You would also want to have the machine at a normal operating temperature, so it is a good idea to operate the machine for 15 or 20 minutes before performing this calibration. To access the valve calibration, we will press the menu button, go over to the installation side of the menu, scroll down to valve calibration, press the OK button. Notice we have both lift and tilt available. We are currently set up for lift with the configuration of the AS400, so I will press OK. Note the picture lets me know that I want the connector facing the left side of the machine. Press OK to continue. Press this right arrow button here, and now it's asking for that number that we measured, which in our case was 0.32. Press the next button over here. It now wants us to raise the machine or the blade to the highest point. Okay, now we will get out and take a second measurement down to the ground from the cutting edge. So taking the same measurement, I now measure 3.08. This is the number we will input into the display. I will now input that into the display. 3.08. I will press the next button. Now lower the blade back down to its minimum height, which was just a couple of tenths off the ground. Press the next button. The machine is now giving us a warning that we are about to proceed and the blade will start to move on its own. Go ahead and press the OK button. Ensure the machine is in the auto position. Get the machine hydraulics or the machine engine RPMs up to normal operating RPMs. Press OK one more time. It is now in progress. The progress bar will go from 1 to 100%. At 100%, the valve calibration is complete. About 5 minutes has gone by. We can now see that our valve calibration was successful, so we would press OK to continue. Okay, at this point that was only the lift. We also need to do the tilt. So if we go down to tilt and press OK, it lets us know we need to rotate our AS400 so that the connector is facing the rear. I now have the sensor with the connector facing the rear. At this point, what the display is looking for is that as the right blade tip is lowered to the ground, the reading decreases or the number gets smaller. If that is true, you could go ahead and press the next button. With the left blade tip down as far as it can go and just above the ground, go to the next button. It will take a measurement, rotate it clockwise to the full extent. Once again, we are given a warning that as we proceed, the blade will begin to move on its own. Ensure that the blade is in auto. Engine RPMs up. Once I press OK, the calibration will begin. Just like the lift, the status bar will go from 1% to 100% and let us know when everything is complete. You can now see that the tilt calibration was also successful. We can press OK. The machine should now be ready to operate. We can escape out of this screen using the back button to get back to our normal operating screen. At this point, it is a good idea to save the machine file with something that has the date so that you know it is the latest saved file with that particular valve calibration included. To do this, we press the menu button, scroll down to Save Settings. We need to save the machine settings. Do need to make sure that the data card is inserted. And we could give it a name. It comes up with a default name of the name that we've given the machine, in this case FBH74901. We could change that 01. I will now be saving it as the machine serial number with today's date. That will be saved only to this data card, so it may want to be pulled off, put on to a server or some other type of a hard drive for archival purposes. But we now know that that file contains the latest valve calibration to date.